Welcome to lecture series on water and earth retaining structures as per the syllabus given by RTU Kota. I am Vaishak C, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department, Government Engineering College, Jalawa. The topic we are going to cover today is retaining walls. So, before designing any structures, it's important to know what you are going to design. What are the types of loads coming on the structure and what is the behavior of the structure towards the load. Then it's easy to design any structures. So here in this lecture we'll cover the following topics, which includes, of course, introduction to retaining walls, the types of retaining walls, then a basic explanation on earth pressure diagrams, and finally the different modes of failures of retaining walls. So what is a retaining wall? So retaining walls are basically structures constructed to retain soil or any such materials which are unable to stand vertically by themselves unless it is supported by a structure or a mechanism. Okay, so here we have, in this figure, we have a highway in cutting, and you can see in gray color it is a retaining wall which supports the highland from sliding down to the highway. In the second figure you can see a road which is embanked by the side of a river. Here also the retaining wall protects the road from sliding down to the river. So the main objective of the retaining wall is to maintain a level difference in ground between the two sides. So it finds its applications in the following areas like construction of embankments, construction of big buildings, multi-story buildings with basements, in bridge works wherein you have to construct wing walls and abutments, and also for aesthetic landscaping such as for where you have a stepped topography. The retaining wall is divided into three basic elements: a vertical stem which prevents the backfill of the soil from sliding horizontally. The vertical stem is connected to a base slab. The base slab acts as a footing. The base slab is divided into two parts, heel and toe. So heel slab is the part of the base slab which is directly below the backfill, and toe slab is the front portion of the base slab. It can be seen that the majority of the load comes on the heel slab. Now let's see the different classifications of retaining wall. The first type of retaining wall is gravity wall, which can be made out of masonry or either plain concrete. So this base works similar to the principle of the gravity dam. The horizontal movement of the structure is completely controlled by the self weight. So while designing, the structure should be proportioned such that there is no tension developed anywhere in the structure. So as you can see, the design may result in a large bulky structure and hence it is not economical. The second type of retaining walls are cantilever retaining walls, which is the most commonly used retaining walls. These are made out of RCC, and the common shapes is actually either an inverted T, or sometimes it can be seen that there is a L-shaped cantilevers also. So here the horizontal and vertical pressure is resisted by bending of different components. As I told, there is stem, heel and toe. So this is more compared to the previous gravity structures. This can be seen that it is very slender, and hence it is going to be more economical. The third type of retaining walls is counterfort retaining walls, which is again very similar to a cantilever retaining walls, but in addition counterforts are provided. Counterforts are nothing but a triangular slabs which connects the stems with the heel. So the counterforts, what the counterforts basically does is it acts as a additional support. So it can be seen that the stem is now actually spanning horizontally as a continuous beam with supports as counterfort. In this, there is a combined cantilever and simply supported continuous action for stems. It can be seen that cantilever structures are not effective for a height more than 6 meters. So in such cases, we go for a counterfort retaining wall. The last type of retaining wall is buttress retaining walls. It is very similar to the previous counterfort retaining walls. The only difference is that in place of counterforts which connects the stem with the heel, here we have buttresses which connects the stem with the toe side. Basically, the counterforts are provided on the facing sides. So sometimes it is not possible to give counterforts on the backfill side. In such cases, we go for a buttress wall. Now let's see different terminologies used in a cantilever retaining wall. This I taken as an example because this is what we are going to design as per the syllabus. Okay. So the basic things you have to know about cantilevers or terminologies are backfill. So backfill is any material which you have to hold behind the retaining wall. Then this backfill can be either horizontal or maybe it can be inclined also. So there can be a horizontal backfill or a slope backfill. Okay, so the slope of this backfill is called as grade. In addition to backfill, there may be some additional loads also acting on the above the backfill. Such loads are called as surcharge loads. This includes vehicular load or the load of any structure which is supported by the backfill. Okay, here also you can see there are three different elements: a vertical stem, then we have a footing or a base slab, and base slab is divided into two parts, which is heel and a toe. Okay, in addition you can see a additional footing key which is actually given for providing protection against sliding. Then here you can see a small depression in the footing which is for locking the stem. This is called as keyway. Talking about the reinforcements, here we have the toe footing which continues to the stem. Then we have heel bars, and then we have the reinforcements on stems. So reinforcements of stem are basically a vertical reinforcement, which are primary reinforcements which are designed against bending, and there is also, you can see, some horizontal temperature or shrinkage reinforcements. Okay, so these are basically provided for protection against cracks due to temperature and shrinkage effects. One more thing you have to notice is the stem are actually tapering. That means there is a slope on one side, and this slope is called as batter. The stem is tapered because of in order to achieve the economy. See different notes on the major loads to be supported by a retaining wall is the set weight of the soil as well as the lateral earth pressure. The lateral earth pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by the backfill in the horizontal direction. There are two types of lateral earth pressure: the active earth pressure as well as the passive earth pressure. So active earth pressure is the minimum lateral pressure that a given soil mass will exert on a retaining wall as it moves away from the soil. Passive earth pressure is the maximum lateral resistance that a given soil mass can offer to retaining wall that is being pushed towards the soil mass. Earth pressure depends upon the type of soil, height of the wall, and the soil conditions. There are different earth pressure theories for finding out the value of earth pressure. Here we are going to use Rankine's theorem. So based on Rankine's theory of earth pressure, the horizontal earth pressure is a lateral earth pressure coefficient multiplied by the vertical pressure. So at any depth, the vertical pressure is actually gamma into h, where gamma is the unit weight of the soil and h is the height of the soil above that level. So Rankine defined the value of K based on the angle of shear and resistance. So the lateral earth pressure coefficient, active lateral earth pressure coefficient Ka is 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi, and passive earth pressure coefficient is Kp is 1 plus sin phi by 1 minus sin phi. Now this equation is valid only when we have a horizontal backfill. When we have an inclined backfill having an angle of beta, we have to make use of this formula for Ka and Kp. Let's see the earth pressure diagram. So earth pressure diagram is similar to a hydrostatic pressure distribution, wherein you can see a zero pressure at the top and it increases linearly up to Ka into gamma h. So the pressure at any depth is given by Ka into gamma into h, where Ka is the active earth pressure coefficient and gamma is the unit weight of the soil. Okay, so once we have a triangular distribution, the total force at any point is given by the area of the triangle, which is nothing but half into Ka into gamma h into h. So we have total pressure P is equal to half Ka gamma h square. So you can see that the total pressure, being the distribution be triangular, you can see that total pressure will be acting at a height of h by 3 from the bottom, and this in turn creates a overturning moment at the base, which is equal to P into h by 3. So we have total overturning bending moment of 1 by 6 K into gamma h cube. Okay. So here we can see, because of lateral earth pressure, there are two forces, which one is horizontal PA, horizontal P, which is total horizontal force, as well as a total moment created by P, which is an overturning moment M. Finally, the last topic, let's see the stability of a retaining wall. A retaining wall may fail by three of these cases, which is overturning. Here, overturning means rotation about toe. Here from the previous slide, you can see that there was a net overturning moment caused by the lateral earth pressure, and to balance that, there will be a resisting moment which was created by the weight of the cantilever and the weight of the soil. So when the overturning moment is greater than the retaining moment, resisting moment, the structure overturns. Sliding failure. The sliding force is basically the horizontal earth pressure, and it is resisted by a force which is nothing but friction at the base, which is nothing but friction coefficient into the total weight of the structure, or normal thrust. So when the sliding force is higher than the frictional force, we have a sliding failure. And the last kind of failure is bearing capacity failure, wherein the pressure at the bottom increases greater than the bearing capacity of the soil. That's it for today. In the next class, we'll see the various design criteria and we'll see a design problem. Thank you.